Captain Drek stood on the bridge of the asterisk, relentless hunter asterisk, his scaled tail twitching with impatience. The massive view screen showed the swirling purple clouds of his homeworld, Mars, growing smaller as the ship accelerated away. Few planets in the known galaxy were as harsh as Mars, with its crushing gravity, toxic air, and deadly predators. It had forged the Korvax into what they were, the galaxy's ultimate warriors. "Captain, all systems nominal," reported Krav, his security chief. Like all Korvax, Krav had thick, armored scales covering his body, powerful claws, and teeth designed for tearing flesh. Evolution on Mars had not been kind, but it had been effective. "Excellent," Drek replied, his voice deep and gravelly. "Set course for the outer territories. The Council might think they can keep us confined to approved space lanes, but they forget who we are." The Galactic Council, made up of dozens of species from gentle worlds, had reluctantly admitted the Korvax 5 cycles ago. They feared the reptilian species, calling Mars a death world, a rare planet so dangerous that any species evolving there would naturally become conquerors. The Council wasn't wrong. "The soft skins will never understand," Drek said to his science officer, Liz. She was smaller than most Korvax, but her mind was sharper than anyone's claws. "They evolved on worlds with perfect weather and no predators. No wonder they fear us." Liz nodded but didn't look up from her data screen. "That is why they place so many restrictions on our fleet movements. They fear what they cannot understand." The Korvax had agreed to the Council's terms, but Drek and many others found the rules insulting. Why should the galaxy's apex predators bow to creatures who had never fought for their survival? 3 days into their unauthorized patrol, Liz called Drek to her station. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from an uncharted system ahead. The patterns suggest advanced technology." Drek's inner eyelids flicked with interest. A new species, or perhaps a hidden outpost of the Council? "Neither, I think," Liz replied, her claws tapping across the control panel. "These signals don't match any known patterns, and the system contains 9 planets orbiting a yellow star, with at least one showing signs of widespread civilization." "How has the Council missed this?" Krav asked, joining them. Drek snorted. "The Council explores at the pace of the Florax, one cautious step every decade. This system must be outside their precious, safe zone for expansion." A decision formed in Drek's mind. Council regulations required reporting any discovery of an advanced civilization immediately, allowing the Council's diplomats to make first contact. Breaking this rule carried severe penalties. "Set course for this system," Drek ordered. "Full stealth protocols." Krav's scales rippled with concern. "Captain, the Council. The Council would take years to act, and then they'd exclude us from the contact team." Drek interrupted. "If this civilization has valuable technology or resources, I want the Korvax to discover it first." The crew obeyed without further question. Days later, the asterisk relentless hunter asterisk entered the outskirts of the system, sensors probing cautiously ahead. "Remarkable," Liz whispered as data flooded her screens. "The 3rd planet shows extensive development. And there are structures on the 4th planet too, despite its harsh conditions." Drek leaned over her shoulder, his interest piqued. "Let me see." The images showed a red, dusty world, clearly inhospitable, yet artificial structures dotted its surface. Who would build on such a hostile planet? Krav wondered. Liz adjusted her scanners toward the 3rd planet, and the crew fell silent at what they saw. Blue oceans, green and brown landmasses, swirling white clouds, and beneath it all, readings that made even Drek's tough scales prickle. "This can't be right," Liz said, running the scan again. "According to these readings, this world has higher gravity than Mars, more extreme weather patterns, thousands of apex predators, and deadlier microorganisms." Drek stared at the beautiful blue world. "We've found another death world," he said quietly. and whoever lives there might be even tougher than we are. The asterisk relentless hunter asterisk slipped into orbit around the red planet the locals call Mars, its cloaking systems hiding it from most detection methods. Drek ordered the ship to maintain position behind one of the small moons, giving them a perfect observation point. These beings have mastered space travel, Liz reported, studying the data flowing across her screens. Look at these structures on the surface. Habitation domes, mining operations, even what appears to be early terraforming attempts. Krav leaned forward, his yellow eyes narrowing. Impressive for creatures from a death world. They've expanded beyond their home planet despite the challenges. For 3 full days, the Korvax crew observed the activities on Mars. They intercepted communications, studied the movement patterns of ships, and built a basic understanding of the beings who called themselves humans. Their biology is strange, Liz told Drek during a private briefing. They appear to have no natural armor, no claws, limited teeth for combat, and relatively weak muscle structure compared to us. Yet they walk on this harsh world in thin protective suits and seem unconcerned by the deadly environment. Drek tapped his claws against the metal table. Perhaps they rely entirely on technology to survive. Many species do. No, Liz shook her head. Their technology is good but not exceptional by Council standards. There's something else. She paused, reviewing her notes. Their home planet, Earth, makes even less sense. The gravity is 1.2 times that of Mars. They have weather systems that would tear our scales off. Their oceans contain predators that could swallow a Korvax whole. And the number of microorganisms that could kill through infection is staggering. Yet they thrive, Drek mused. How? Before Liz could answer, an alert sounded. Crab's voice came through the ship's communication system. Captain to the bridge immediately. Drek rushed to his command post, finding his crew in a state of high alert. Report, he barked. A human vessel has changed course, Krav explained, pointing to the tracking display. It was on a standard mining route, but has now turned directly toward our position. They may have detected us despite our cloaking. Drek's mind raced through options. Retreat would be safest, but the Council would discover their unauthorized mission. Fighting would violate first contact protocols. That left only one choice. Prepare for diplomatic contact, he ordered, surprising his crew. If they found us, let's meet them on our terms. The human ship, bearing the name Pioneer approached cautiously. It was smaller than the Relentless Hunter clearly designed for utility rather than combat. The Korvax sent a simple greeting message using the communication frequencies they had been monitoring. After a brief delay, a response came through. The bridge speakers crackled with an unfamiliar voice, speaking a language their computers quickly translated. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Jack of the Pioneer. We detected your energy signature during our routine scans. Identify yourself and state your purpose. The voice sounded calm, neither frightened nor aggressive, just matter of fact, as if encountering alien ships was an everyday occurrence. Drek stepped forward. This is Captain Drek of the Korvax exploration vessel Relentless Hunter *. We come from beyond your system, studying new worlds and civilizations. A pause followed. Then, well, Captain Drek, this is unexpected but not unwelcome. We've always wondered when we'd meet our neighbors. Would you be interested in a face-to-face meeting at our Mars base? We can provide appropriate environmental accommodations for your species. Liz looked at Drek with surprise. They're inviting us down. Just like that. Drek considered the offer. Council protocol would forbid such quick engagement, but Council protocol was designed for soft world species, not fellow Deathworlders. We accept your invitation, Drek replied. Send coordinates for our shuttle. As preparations began for the meeting, Krav approached his captain. This seems too easy. It could be a trap. Drek's inner eyelids blinked slowly. Perhaps. But consider, if these humans evolved on a world more deadly than ours, Wouldn't they also evolve to be direct? On Deathworlders, hesitation means death. As their shuttle detached from the relentless hunter Drek felt something unusual. A sensation the soft world species might call excitement, or perhaps even kinship. For the first time, the Korvax were about to meet a species that might truly understand them. The Korvax shuttle landed inside a large hangar at the Mars base called Olympus. Drek led his small team, Liss, Krav, and 2 guards, down the ramp, his senses alert for any sign of danger. The air inside the hangar was breathable for both species, though Drek noticed it was drier than the air on the relentless hunter 5 humans waited at the bottom of the ramp. They stood straight, without visible weapons, though Drek assumed they were armed somewhere beneath their simple uniforms. The one in front stepped forward. "Captain Drek, welcome to Mars. I'm Commander Jack, director of Olympus Base." The human was shorter than Drek by at least a head, with skin the color of pale sand, and no visible armor or natural defenses. Drek placed his right hand over his chest in the traditional Korvax greeting. "Commander Jack, we appreciate your welcome." Jack smiled, showing flat teeth that looked useless for combat. "This is a historic moment, humanity's first meeting with intelligent life from beyond our solar system. Please, follow me to our conference room where we can talk more comfortably." As they walked through the base, Drek noted how the humans moved with easy confidence despite the alien visitors towering over them. The corridors were wider than necessary, the ceilings higher, built with room to grow, not just for immediate needs. A Deathworld mentality, planning for the future even when the present was challenging enough. "Your base is impressive," Liss commented, her scientific curiosity evident. "How long have you maintained a presence on Mars?" A female human with darker skin answered, "We established the first permanent base 30 years ago. I'm Anna, chief engineer here at Olympus. This particular facility is only 5 years old." 5 years? Krav couldn't hide his surprise. The construction quality is excellent for such a new structure on such a hostile world. Anna laughed. "Mars isn't so bad once you get used to it. Low gravity makes some things easier, actually." Drek exchanged glances with Liss. The humans considered this deadly environment not so bad. What kind of creatures were they? In the conference room, they seated themselves around a large table. Through a domed window, the red Martian landscape stretched to the horizon, beautiful and deadly. "So," Jack began, "you're the first aliens we've met, which means we have about 1 million questions. But I'm guessing you have questions too." "Indeed," Drek replied. "My science officer, Liss, has been studying your world from orbit. Your planet Earth, it has very extreme conditions." Jack nodded. "Earth can be rough in places. We have everything from burning deserts to freezing polar regions, hurricanes, earthquakes, you name it. And yet your species evolved there, without scales or armor," Liss said. "How did you survive?" The humans exchanged amused glances. "We adapted," Jack said simply. "Different human populations develop different traits depending on where they lived. Dark skin for sunny regions, lighter skin where there's less sun. Tall, thin bodies for hot climates, stockier bills for cold areas." "But the predators," Krav interjected. "Our scans showed thousands of species that could kill creatures of your size." A human male with a medical insignia on his uniform spoke up. "I'm Tom, the base doctor. You're right. Earth has plenty that can kill us. Sharks in the oceans, big cats, bears, venomous snakes, tiny insects that carry diseases, even microscopic bacteria and viruses that can wipe out millions." "So how did you survive?" Drek pressed. "What is your advantage?" Jack leaned forward. "We're not the strongest or the fastest. We can't breathe underwater or fly. We don't have natural weapons, but we have 3 things. We can outthink most problems. We can outendure most creatures. And we're incredibly stubborn." Drek was about to ask another question when an alarm suddenly blared through the base. Jack's hand went to a device on his wrist as red lights began flashing in the corridor. "Pressure breach in Section 4. A voice announced over the speakers. "All personnel evacuate to safety zones." Jack stood immediately. "Duty calls. You can return to your shuttle if you wish, or—" "We will help," Drek said, rising as well. On a death world, survival often depends on cooperation. Jack gave him an appraising look, then nodded. "Follow me then. Let's see how Deathworlders work together." As they raced through the corridors, Drek felt a strange sense of connection to these soft-skinned aliens. Perhaps they were more alike than different after all. 3 days after the pressure breach incident, Jack and a small team of humans accepted Drek's invitation to visit the Relentless Hunter. The Korvax captain watched with interest as the humans boarded his ship, their eyes wide with wonder but showing no fear. "Your vessel is impressive," Jack said, running his hand along a wall panel. "The design is so different from our ships." Drek nodded. "It was built for both exploration and defense. The Korvax never go anywhere unprepared." "Smart thinking," Anna commented, her attention drawn to the engineering details. "On Earth, we have a saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst." "A death world philosophy," Krav murmured to Drek. "They understand." Drek had carefully planned the humans' tour of his ship. Without telling his guests, he had ordered certain sections to have their gravity increased, others to have subtle toxins introduced to the air, and some areas to have the temperature raised or lowered to uncomfortable levels. He wanted to test these humans, to see what they were truly capable of. The first test came in the ship's cargo bay, where the gravity had been increased to 1.5 times Earth normal, a crushing weight for most species, and even uncomfortable for Korvax. "This area houses our supply storage," Drek explained, watching carefully as the humans entered. Anna paused momentarily, rolling her shoulders. "Feels a bit heavy in here," she remarked casually, then continued examining the cargo containers with interest. Jack gave no sign of noticing the change at all. The other humans showed only minor adjustments to their posture. Liz caught Drek's eye, her expression clearly saying, "They barely notice." In the next section, Drek had ordered a mild toxin released. Nothing deadly, but enough to cause discomfort in most species. The humans walked through, engaging in conversation, asking questions about Korvax technology and culture. Not one of them coughed or showed any sign of distress. "Don't they feel it?" Krav whispered to Liz. "Perhaps their homeworld has prepared them better than we thought," she replied. By the time they reached the engine room, where the temperature had been raised to levels that made even the cold-blooded Korvax uncomfortable, Drek was beginning to reconsider his assumptions about these aliens. "Your drive system is fascinating," Anna said, wiping sweat from her forehead, but otherwise showing no discomfort in the sweltering heat. "It's similar to our fusion technology, but much more refined." Suddenly, a loud warning siren blared throughout the ship. The deck shuddered beneath their feet. "Captain," a voice called over the communication system. "We have a containment failure in the secondary coolant system. Toxic gas is leaking near your position." This was no planned test. Drek's inner eyelids flicked rapidly as he assessed the danger. "Everyone out," he ordered. "Back to the main corridor." But as they turned to leave, a second explosion rocked the ship. A support beam crashed down, blocking their exit and pinning one of the Korvax engineers beneath it. Without hesitation, Jack rushed forward. "Anna, help me with this," he called. The two humans positioned themselves on either side of the massive beam. Despite the crushing gravity, toxic air, and dangerous heat, they strained against the metal, lifting it just enough for Krav to pull the injured engineer free. "The gas levels are rising," Liz warned, checking a wall panel. "We have minutes before it reaches lethal concentration." Jack looked around quickly, spotting an emergency toolkit on the wall. "Anna, see if there's something in there we can use to seal the leak." "Tom, check the engineer's injuries." The base doctor was already kneeling beside the fallen Korvax, applying pressure to a wound that was leaking dark green blood. Drek watched in astonishment as the humans organized themselves, working efficiently despite conditions that should have incapacitated them. Anna found sealant in the toolkit and, with Lissa's guidance, managed to temporarily stop the gas leak. Jack helped create a path through the debris. Tom stabilized the injured engineer. When they finally reached safety, Drek stared at the humans with new understanding. They were breathing hard and covered in sweat, but otherwise appeared unharmed by an experience that would have killed many Council species outright. "Thank you," Drek said, his voice solemn. "You saved one of my crew." Jack shrugged. "You would have done the same for us. That's what Deathworlders do. We survive, together." For the first time in his life, Drek felt respect for an alien species, not just as potential rivals, but as equals, perhaps even as potential allies. A week after the emergency on the asterisk Relentless Hunter asterisk, a new ship entered Earth's solar system. Larger than Drek's vessel and gleaming with silver blue panels, it moved with a deliberate grace that suggested both caution and authority. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission," Crab reported. "It's from the Council ship asterisk voice of Harmony asterisk." Drek's scales tightened against his body. "I was wondering how long it would take them to notice our absence." The main screen flickered to life, showing a slender alien with pale blue skin and large, expressive eyes. Tal was Illumina, one of the founding species of the Galactic Council. Their homeworld was famous for its perfect climate and complete lack of predators. They had evolved as peaceful gatherers, their bodies never needing to develop for combat or survival in harsh conditions. "Captain Drek." Tal's melodic voice carried clear disapproval. "You have violated Council protocol by entering an unexplored system without authorization and making unauthorized first contact with a previously unknown species." Drek stood tall, his posture respectful but unapologetic. "Council Representative Tal, I acknowledge your concerns. However, I believe the circumstances justified immediate action." "Circumstances?" Tal's large eyes blinked rapidly. "What possible circumstance could justify such a breach of our most sacred protocols?" "The humans are Deathworlders," Drek said simply. Tal's skin paled to an almost white shade. "Impossible. Our surveys indicated no other Deathworlds in this sector." "Your surveys were incomplete," Liss interjected, stepping forward. "Earth's conditions are even more extreme than Moore's in many ways." The Council representatives seemed to shrink within their ornate robes. "This is most disturbing news. We must establish proper diplomatic channels immediately. The Council will send a formal delegation. Your ship is ordered to maintain position and take no further action." After the transmission ended, Drek received a message from Jack. The humans had detected the new alien ship and wanted information. Drek decided to meet with Jack in person on the Mars base, rather than try to explain over communication channels that the Council might be monitoring. 2 days later, Drek found himself sitting across from Jack in a small private room at Olympus base. The human listened carefully as Drek explained the structure of the Galactic Council and their reaction to discovering humans. "So basically, they're afraid of us already, and they haven't even met us yet?" Jack asked. Drek nodded. "The Council is dominated by species from gentle worlds. They fear what they don't understand, and Deathworlders are very hard for them to understand." "What restrictions did they place on your people when you joined?" Jack's question was direct, as Drek had come to expect from humans. "Limited military expansion, restricted access to certain technologies. Korvax ships are required to carry Council observers on most missions." Drek's inner eyelids flickered with old resentment. "They claim it's for everyone's safety." Jack leaned back in his chair. "And you think they'll try the same approach with us?" "I know they will," Drek replied. "They're already preparing a list of restrictions for humanity. Tal sent me a preview. Limited space expansion, no weapons development, Council oversight of all your technology research." Jack's face hardened in a way Drek had not seen before. That's not going to work for us. Humanity has always explored and expanded. It's in our nature. As it is in ours, Drek agreed. But the Council has many worlds, many resources. They can offer much in exchange for cooperation, or threaten much if we refuse. Jack asked. Drek didn't answer immediately. Finally, he said, the Council prefers peaceful solutions, but they fear Deathworlders enough to take more direct action if they feel threatened. The humans stood and walked to a window overlooking the Martian landscape. My species has never responded well to threats or containment, Captain Drek. Nor has mine, Drek admitted, joining Jack at the window. That is perhaps another trait Deathworlders share. Jack turned to face the Korvax captain. Is there a third option, besides submission or conflict? Drek's tail swished thoughtfully. Perhaps. The Council arrives in 3 days to begin formal negotiations. They've requested that I serve as the initial contact point, since we've already established relations. And where do your loyalties lie, Captain? Jack asked, his gaze direct and unflinching. Drek met the human's eyes. A week ago, that question would have had a simple answer. Now, he paused. Now I find myself wondering if Deathworlders shouldn't stand together. Jack offered his hand in the human gesture of agreement. Then let's make sure the Council hears from both of us. The Council delegation arrived with great ceremony, a fleet of 5 ships taking position around Earth's orbit. Tal led the diplomatic team to the neutral meeting ground, a large conference facility hastily constructed on the Moon. Representatives from Earth, Mars, and the other human colonies joined Jack and his team. Drek and Liss attended as liaisons, their position growing more complicated by the hour. This is a historic moment, Tal announced, their voice echoing in the dome chamber. The Galactic Council welcomes humanity to the greater community of intelligent species. Jack stepped forward as Earth's chosen spokesperson. We appreciate the welcome. Humanity has long wondered if we were alone in the universe. The initial pleasantries soon gave way to tense negotiations. The Council representatives presented their terms. Earth could join the galactic community, but with strict limitations. Human expansion would be confined to their solar system. Military development would be frozen. Advanced technology would require Council approval. In return, humans would receive access to trade, cultural exchange, and limited technological benefits. These terms are unacceptable, Jack stated firmly after consulting with the human delegation. Humanity will not be contained or controlled. Tal's skin rippled with concern. You must understand our position. The galaxy has enjoyed peace for centuries. Species from Deathworlds have different instincts. The restrictions are for everyone's protection, including our own. Jack asked, his voice calm but challenging. Or are you simply afraid of what we might become? Before Tal could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. A human technician rushed into the chamber, her face pale with urgency. Sir, we're detecting weapons fire near Earth's moon base. A ship is attacking our research outpost. The conference erupted in chaos. Council members demanded information. Humans rushed to defensive positions. Drek and Liss exchanged troubled glances. This is not a Council action, Tal insisted, their large eyes wide with genuine shock. We come in peace. Jack accessed a communication panel, connecting to Earth's Defense Command. The screen showed images of a sleek vessel firing precision weapons at the Lunar Research Facility, crippling its systems without destroying it completely. That's a Korvax design, someone in the room shouted, pointing at the attacking ship. All eyes turned to Drek, suspicion and anger replacing the diplomatic atmosphere of moments before. This is not our doing, Drek stated firmly. That ship is not from my fleet. He's lying, a council member hissed. The Deathworlders planned this together. Jack studied Drek's face, then made a decision. I believe Captain Drek. This feels like something else entirely. Liz stepped forward, her scientific calmness a contrast to the tension around them. The attacking vessel has Korvax design elements, yes, but several features are incorrect. I believe it's a manufactured copy. Who would do such a thing? Tal asked, genuinely puzzled. Anna, who had been analyzing the attack patterns on a datapad, looked up grimly. Someone who wants humans and Korvax to fight each other. Someone who fears what might happen if two Deathworld species became allies. Realization spread through the room. Jack and Drek exchanged knowing glances. There are factions within the Council who would see any alliance between Deathworlders as a threat, Drek said quietly. This attack is meant to drive us apart, and to justify immediate restrictions on both our species, Jack added. Tal appeared genuinely distressed. I knew nothing of this, I swear by the light of Lumina. Perhaps not, Drek acknowledged. But someone in your government did. Jack turned to the Human Defense Coordinator. Can we capture that ship intact? We need proof. Difficult but possible, came the reply. We have 2 interceptors in range. Do it, Jack ordered. Then to Drek. Will you help us expose this deception? Drek stood tall, his decision made. The Korvax value honor above all. If someone has used our design to commit this crime, we will help you find the truth. Tal watched this exchange with growing understanding. This was not what I expected when I came here, they admitted. That's the problem with assumptions about Deathworlders, Jack replied. We rarely do what you expect. As human and Korvax crews raced to their ships, Drek felt a strange sense of purpose. For the first time, the term Deathworlder felt like a badge of honor rather than a mark of distrust. Whatever came next, they would face it together. 3 months after the attack on the lunar base, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with tension. Representatives from 100 worlds filled the tiered seats, their expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. At the center of the chamber stood Jack and Drek, united in purpose despite the pressure surrounding them. The Council recognizes Commander Jack of Earth, announced the chief speaker, a tall being with crystalline features. Jack stepped forward, his simple uniform a stark contrast to the elaborate robes worn by most council members. He had spent weeks preparing for this moment, knowing the future of both humans and Korvax depended on what happened today. Honored representatives, Jack began, his voice calm but carrying to every corner of the vast room. 3 months ago, an attack was launched against a human research facility. This attack was designed to look like Korvax aggression. Its purpose was clear, to prevent an alliance between our species. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Jack continued. Thanks to the cooperation between humans and Korvax, we captured the vessel intact. Its crew were not Korvax, but mercenaries hired by members of this very council. The murmurs grew louder. On cue, Anna activated a display showing evidence collected from the captured ship. Communication logs, payment records, and design specifications that traced back to a faction led by Council member Vex, a longtime opponent of Deathworld species having equal standing. This evidence has been verified by independent analysts, Jack stated. The attack was orchestrated by those who fear what they do not understand. Those who believe Deathworlders can only be conquerors, never allies or friends. Vex stood from his seat, his thin face contorted with anger. This is fabricated. Humans are manipulative by nature. Their Deathworld made them so. Drek stepped forward, his scaled form imposing next to Jack. I once thought as you do, Counselor. I believe the Korvax were superior because we survived Moors. I believe other species were soft and weak. Meeting humans changed that perspective. The Korvax captain gestured to his human counterpart. These beings evolved on a world more harsh in many ways than Moors. Yet they did not become mindless conquerors. They built, they created, they explored. They value peace as much as any species here, perhaps more so, because they know the true cost of conflict. Jack nodded gratefully to Drek, then addressed the council again. We did not come here seeking revenge against those who plotted against us. We came with a proposal, a new understanding between Deathworld species and the wider galactic community. From a small case, Jack withdrew a data crystal and placed it on the central dais. This contains our proposal for the Adaptive Species Coalition, not separate from the Council, but a specialized branch within it, focused on the challenges that only Deathworld species truly understand. The chamber fell silent as the crystal's contents were displayed for all to see. The proposal outlined a framework where Deathworlders would focus their unique abilities on addressing the most dangerous challenges facing the galaxy: hostile planet exploration, disaster response, disease containment, and defense against external threats. Deathworlders are not a danger to be contained, Jack explained. We are a resource to be valued. Our evolution made us adaptable, resilient, and determined. Let us use those traits to benefit all species, not just our own. Tal, who had been quietly observing, rose from their seat. I was sent here to restrict humanity, to ensure they posed no threat. Instead, I witnessed something remarkable. Two supposedly aggressive species choosing cooperation over conflict, truth over deception, service over dominance. The Lumina turned to address the full council. Perhaps it is we who have been limited by our assumptions, not they who are limited by their nature. The debate lasted for hours, passionate arguments flowing from all sides. When the final vote came, it was narrow but decisive. The Adaptive Species Coalition would be formed, with humans and Korvax as founding members. Other Deathworld species would be sought out rather than avoided, valued for their unique perspectives rather than feared for their potential. As Jack and Drek left the chamber together, the human smiled at his unlikely friend. So, partners in protecting the galaxy. Drek's inner eyelids blinked in amusement. As you humans might say, who better to handle the universe's dangers than those who grew up surrounded by them? Behind them, the doors to the council chamber remained open, a symbol of the new understanding between worlds gentle and harsh, between species once divided by fear, but now united by respect.